guys, Butch Hartman here. Welcome to Speech Bubble. And Savage Steve Holland is a guy whose mom knew a drunk clown.
When I was 11, I had a birthday party.
Roll the theme.
Yeah.
And so then what happened was that, this gets really weird, but then Fox started a TV network. Mm-hmm. And all the executives were down at late 80s, and they were at Atlanta or somewhere having a conference about this new network that we're starting. And what was playing on HBO? Better Off Dead, all day long. So they're like, who's that crazy galoot that made that thing? And so they called me, and then I got to make a show called Beans Baxter it was like one of the first 7 shows on the Fox network. Failed, everything failed, but I got to do it, so that was good.
That's amazing.
Okay.
That's crazy how it happened.
I love my story.
Baxter is the name for the clown now. You
know?
No, you can't do that.
Perfect.
You can't. You
Can't
cannot. No.
What was that show about? What was Beans Baxter
It was
about?
like I just pitched it. It's like they were the new young network, and I was like, it's a teen James Bond.
Cool.
Right?
I mean, do it.
I love that.
Love it.
Starring Jace Diehl.
Yeah, you
Hey,
could have,
yeah.
but you would have been great.
Well,
at
I
that,
can-
actually.
I've got a new
remake
network
it.
I'm doing.
Yeah.
We'll remake it. We'll
Yeah.
change
It's not
the
a bad
name.
idea.
Yeah. No, keep the name.
Is
The name's
Jace
great.
going to be in everything you do?
Not
Like
everything, no. I have this deal with his parents. I have to watch him during the day. So
I didn't know about this.
I'm sorry. We'll
Yeah,
talk
we'll
about
talk
it.
about it.
Oh, okay.
It's a whole
we
thing.
weren't supposed to
Okay.
bring it up.
All right.
Adults are talking.
It's like
adults are speaking.
it's like the topiary thing. We're really supposed to talk about
It's a
it.
thing. I've seen them before. They exist, people.
So,
Okay, continue.
There's so many things you've done. I just want to go down the list because you've done. Now we encountered each other. We already did the Fairly OddParents story, but we encountered each other at Nickelodeon because you've done a ton of Nickelodeon movies.
Yeah,
You did Shredder Man. You did Big Time movie, Big Time Rush the show.
Yeah, the Rufus movies and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
But before that, I had done like all this. We were making fun of Scott Fellows because that's what we do.
Yeah,
But Scott Fellows is actually really talented and does a lot of things that I try to take credit for.
Exactly.
Like
And by the way, I know
Ned's.
Scott Fellow's career. You know that.
Yeah, I know
I
that.
say
No,
it here all the time.
it's awesome, and he's a really prolific guy. I was going
Yeah.
to say pain in the butt, but I mean I only mean that because
right
he's very opinionated about what he wants to see and stuff. But anyway, I did like 4 years of Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide with him, and then we went off to do Big Time Rush and stuff like that. And so it was good because I was already there, and that was really good when they started this movie company because then Margie, who was running the company, had heard my name, and she said, "Yeah, I think we're working with this guy," and it was me. And so I did the first one, which was Shredder Man, which was okay.
I loved that movie.
You did?
I saw it so
you're
many
so
times.
sweet. That's
No, really.
awesome. I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah.
And so then they went off to some other loser. No, I'm just kidding. They went off to do some other movies while I went back to, I think, to do Big Time Rush. And then Margie came to me with with your script, and I thought it's so zany. It's one of those things. It's so zany. It might just work. You know
that
what?
took forever to get off the ground.
That's what I'm hearing.
Because we had certain people involved that were just like always there. And people find this out. You know this too. I talk about this all the time. Sometimes you'll have a great idea and then you give it to producers and people.
Yeah, and it goes away.
Some of them mean well. Some do. Others don't mean well. I mean, a lot of them don't know what they're doing, but they're pretending they know what they're doing. So they'll like go, "Why don't you try this in the movie?" And you throw that in, and it just puts a monkey wrench in everything.
Yes,
but you're being dutiful, and you're trying. I didn't say beautiful. I said dutiful. But he is kind of beautiful.
Yeah.
But you're trying to be beautiful and fit everything into this story.
Yeah.
And it just becomes impossible.
Yeah, because it unravels everything you've done and stuff.
And then about a year later, they're like, maybe
not.
Yeah. It's the story you originally pitched them.
Exactly.
And they think it's their idea.
Yeah,
like, that's what
that happens all the time, actually.
All the time.
And you want to be polite and you want to be like team player, but it screws you up sometimes.
I know.
That's why I think some real jerks make it in Hollywood.
I
They're just
know
like,
they-
no, we're not doing that. And you and I would never do that.
We would never do that.
I'm like a puddle. I'm like, I'll do anything. I think I wet myself.
Exactly.
You know,
What are you working on right now?
Well, now I'm doing a show for Netflix, which is again one of those long battles that's been going on. I just when I lived in Malibu, before my kids took all my money.
There's only 9 of them. I mean, come on. Actually, there's 4 kids.
There's 4. They're adorable.
By the way, but what are your kids' names? You have unique names for your children.
Well, I have Cajun.
He's a
he
boy
was
or a
boy.
girl?
He's a boy.
Named Cajun.
Yes, named Cajun.
Now, what's the next one's name?
That would be Zuzu. She's a girl. It's from A Wonderful Life.
Yeah, I know
Remember?
that.
Jimmy
Yeah,
Stewart.
Zuzu's bells,
right.
Zuzu's bells.
Exactly.
There you go.
And then Ottilie, because she was supposed to be a boy, and we thought Otto's kind of a cute little OTTO. I'll remember that even if I have the cake. Otto. I got it. And so we put it. So So anyway, it's my daughter's name now, Ottilie. So sometimes I'm like, Otto, and I do it backwards. It's all wrong. But anyway, Otto Lee, and then Clementine, just because it's adorable.
Clementine's a great name. Yep.
Yeah.
By the way, Jace, that's your new middle name.
Yep. So you are
Jace
Clementine.
Clementine.
No, okay.
So keep going. So
My
Netflix
kids
thing.
were at Malibu High, and they were doing this thing called Junior Lifeguards. Did your kids ever do that?
No,
Did
they
you
were
ever-
never. My kids
I never learned to swim, so.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Let's
They
take
were
him out for
cl-
popping for apples.
There we go.
He's a witch.
No, but we didn't go to school close enough to the beach. We're not that cool. We're
Oh
not that
gosh,
cool. Yeah, go ahead.
poor people.
I'm sorry.
So anyway,
I do drunk clown things on the side to make money. Yeah, so good.
So while I was
pick up
rich
your mom.
and living at the beach, not anywhere near where you live,
Yes.
and my kids were at Malibu High, and so then they did this thing, and so I was looking at it, and I'm like, this is kind of like because we're in the kids' world, and I'm like, this is so amazing because there's so many kids doing this, and they're getting like a little badge for it basically, but
Junior
they're
lifeguard.
and they're swimming their heads off, and they're like going crazy and running on the beach and little outfits on, and it was hilarious looking, but I said it's kind of Baywatch for kids, so I'm like,
Bam!
Months went by, and I'm like, Baywatch, it has to happen. Someone's going to make this. It's just going to be a show. And then years went by. Years, Butch.
Years.
And then finally I said, you know what? I'm
Decades.
going to take it out with our friend Scott McAvoy.
There you go.
Who was the guy who produced the movies up in Canada with his partner Amy.
Yeah.
And I said, Scott, and he lives in Malibu. And I'm like, you've seen that, right? With these kids running on the beach and you can't park because they're everywhere.
Yep.
And then he's like, yeah, it's great. So we went out and pitched it. And oh God, we sold it to Universal, and then Universal went as a kids show, but then they went and bought stuff from Margie at DreamWorks, so they couldn't make live action things anymore. So it was one of those things again, like we were saying, like we gave it to them, and then they took a year to like develop, do whatever they're doing, and then it just kind of, then they're like, we're only doing animation.
By the way, thanks for sharing it with me, but it's cool. Keep going.
Yeah, okay.
Keep going.
Oh, that's right. I should have asked you to do
Don't worry,
it.
it's all right. I'm not hurt.
Next time.
I'll write something with Jace.
Yeah,
There you go.
but
Yeah, that's
again,
right. We can
Scott McAvoy lived at the beach.
Oh, you got to go down there and work
Yep.
with Scott McAvoy. I get it.
Have you been to the beach before?
I don't know what that is. My name almost spells beach. It's
That's
Butch.
true.
So
That's
I-
true.
And also
actually,
spell
yeah.
something else, but we'll
Oh,
keep
we're
going.
not going there.
Malibu
Beach
Butch.
Hartman.
I do need a title, Malibu Butch.
There we see
I like
what I'm
it.
seeing.
Copyright it before he can.
So-
Copyright it before he can.
So Universal ruins
Yeah,
it.
yes, so they were
destroyed it.
they were nice, but they gave it back, which was good. But that took another 6 months. So anyway, we went to Netflix and pitched it, and they bid on it. And the thing was, but they don't develop stuff; they buy stuff at Netflix.
Meaning you have to
meaning that
already
I'd
have
have to
it done?
make it. I'd have to make it. And so Scott's company could have done that. So we got in there, and he got the financing. Scott McAvoy got the financing for it. And then they suddenly said, "Well, now that you've got the financing, we want to make it with our own money." And so it went through a whole
Netflix did that?
So it went through a whole other process. Anyway, we finished it 2 weeks ago, and
Wow.
we shot it in
That's
Malibu.
awesome. How many episodes?
Well, it's going to be 8 episodes, but we shot a feature. It's really weird. It's not like a pilot. We did a feature.
Like a 90-minute feature? Or an hour?
It's about 80 minutes, but
cool.
it's a feature. And then they bought 8 episodes to start making it into a series.
Very cool. Man.
So it's like a
That's how
Baywatch
it's
for
done.
kids. It's really cool, and
That's
it's all
how
shot in
done.
Malibu. And
I will come back on as the crazy guy if you want.
I do want that
Well,
character.
as-
That
as
character
a-
has to come back.
I'll do push-ups. I'll
Yeah.
look like a bitch. I promise you. I'll
You do
look
have good upper body
Oh,
strength.
thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah,
I appreciate
yeah,
it.
you're great. I'll call you.
You know what's kind of cool? It's right by your house.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can work
yeah,
that far away.
yeah.
You
But
just
you know,
shoot
I
it
do
right
have a
down.
gate, and you'd have to pick
Oh,
you'd have to know
okay.
the code, and I don't think.
I don't remember numbers anymore.